Hey, my people. Um, I have several topics I want to talk about. I think I'm going to start with the situation in Flint, Michigan. If you do not know by now, um, this city is populated with over at least, someone said 80%, but I'm going to lowball and say 60% of its residents are African American and predominantly, in general, that is a very poor area. And and they've been experiencing some toxic waste being or toxic water. Um, I watched a video earlier. Well, actually, I didn't watch it. I listened to it. The name of it was "Not Safe to Drink," and it actually broke down a lot of what's going on or what happened, a timeline and everything like that. And long story short, they hit that. They hit it. They knew it, and I think that if you think about it, with any business, anything that you do, even in government, state and federal, before you make any major decisions, you have analysts, you have people, think tanks. Depending on what you're into. I mean, if it's a business, you want to do, maybe uh, have a new market a new product or whatever, you're gonna do certain data before you put that market or put that item on the market or what have you. These people have financial analysts, forecasters. I think in this case probably some scientists and things of that nature prior to making this move. So what ended up happening was 2 years ago, Detroit switched their, I mean, I'm sorry, Flint, Michigan switched their water supply from Detroit. It was kind of hefty, and they were going to switch over to some new water system that was not yet built yet. So they figured they could save some water by getting water from the Flint River. Now, let me back up and say that every city in the United States, city, state, whatever, United States, has to have a water treatment plan that includes some type of chemical or whatever that will help with corrosion, the toxic level of different chemicals, iron and metals and all that stuff, too, so that it's safe to drink. They have to have some type of plan. Every state does. So, so they ended up switching the water, and people got sick. For the longest, like immediately they got sick. It was a lady to where her kids kept that immediately after her kids got sick. They kept breaking out. This is over like a period of several months during the summer. They was breaking out. She kept going, taking her kids to the doctor. Doctor's like blowing it off, like, oh, it's scabies, it's this and it's that, it's a rash, and her, long story short, her water was tested, and I think the safe levels of iron and was it lead and something else is like 15 parts per million. And her house, like her water was tested. The guy came out and he kept coming out, but long story short, like it ended up being like 5,000 parts per million. It's only supposed to be 15, and so um, a couple people in various positions with the state health boards, the EPA, and of that state, and also a doctor, a pediatrician, put her career on the line, and they were trying to say no, that's not true. Like she had all these tests that she ran from like kids that were coming in that had high levels of lead poisoning. Okay. There was a professor from Virginia Tech. His name was Mark Edwards. He came in and he did tests independently with some of his students and was going around testing people for lead and things like that. And they collected their own data. And they was in the river getting river samples. And basically, what ended up happening is the metals and the corrosion, all that stuff was coming through the pipes. The water was undrinkable for like 2 years. Like within 6 months of them switching the water over, they knew, people were like, yo, this is something's going on. something's going on. This is not right. And they were like, they threw out the lady's test. The one, actually 2 tests they threw out. The lady that I mentioned about her house being tested for lead, and it was like over 5,000 parts per million at one point. It was another one that had a high test, and so they threw it out over technicalities because she had a water filter. So basically they jimmied the test, and they threw out the highest 2 scores so that they can be just below passing. And they covered this up. This is plain covered up. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. I don't care what you say. They knew that you cannot do this. There's a lot of stuff they're doing. They're killing people, shooting, but you deliberately are poisoning people. Now, we already know that there are poisons in general that's in the water and all that other stuff. But, I mean, this is a literal intent, like blatant intentional poisoning. I'm not sure if many of people know about like the side effects of lead poisoning, but you can die. There was a lady that said that she had hair loss. People were losing their hair. The kids, I seen this picture of these black kids. They have like patches of hair missing. You end up with lower IQ, ADHD, mild retardation. You're gonna have behavior issues, and some of those people end up in the judicial system, in the criminal system. So you have a domino effect, like you killing people, and kidney problems. I mean, these are little kids, like little kids. A lot of little kids are right now are diagnosed with lead poisoning. That stuff is irreversible. Like to the degree in which they have it, it's irreversible. They let it go for 2 years almost. They just switched back like at the end of last 2015. They switched the water back to Detroit water. They tried to say that they didn't have no money, and it's messed up. How America thinks of the poor. And you know what? And people do not put a face on people who are poor, and it's sad. I mean, these poor people, when you think poor, you think, oh, they're all on welfare and things like that. And these people are working people. A lot of these people are working, scraping to get by, working these $8, $9, $10 an hour jobs that work you to death, want you to clock out for 15-minute breaks, and cheating you on your hours, doing illegal things. I mean, and they're barely paying the rent, let alone, I heard, people are in some of the comments behind this. It's like, damn well you would not stand for some shit like this to happen in your community. You got people saying, well, maybe they did this and maybe they did that. Even GM, what's the car manufacturer in Detroit anyway? I guess they're on the border or whatever of Flint and Detroit, water supply or something like that. But their parts were corroding. They had the money to actually change the water came from. General Motors, I think. This is crazy. But they want us to boycott the Oscars and awards and stuff like that. I think it's crazy, and that's gonna be my next video. I just can't believe that this is happening in the United States. I mean, so blatantly. We all know that they putting shit in the water, adversely, whatever. Don't nobody care. And you got black people sitting up here like, oh, okay, whatever. But then as soon as a celebrity say to do something, oh yeah, let's get behind that motherfucker. Do you not realize what y'all need to this is crazy. I cannot believe there's not as much outrage from black people as it is outrage over the Oscars and all this hoopla. But y'all, I don't see hardly as much hype within our own community about, do you know it's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people that are about to, thousands, just think of the generations. That shit really, like the kids in there, oh my God, do you not understand? But y'all worried about the fucking Oscars?